Hi everyone, welcome to our December training. I think we've got a few people in here already. So real quick, this is the Certified Special Event Introductory Training and Grader Training. And I am Amy Dirth, CSEP. I am your immediate past chair for the certification committee. And we have a couple of people on the line as well that are here to kind of, watch and learn about this presentation, just like you. So Tori from headquarters is going to be joining us, and she is basically your liaison. She's the one who's going to be helping you if you need anything along the way. So these are two important people to know. But let's dive into this webinar real quick and go from there. So just a few little notes about how this webinar works. One is, if you're not speaking, mute your phones. I believe we have most of you muted right now automatically, so if you need to say something or if you have a question, there's a little chat feature in your window. You are welcome to throw questions in there. I will keep ahead on that and keep focused on that so I can answer your questions. And you are welcome to, say, hey, my question's complicated, can you unmute me? We'll do that too. But I will have a point at the end of the webinar where we can ask all the questions, because most likely I will address your answer before then. And let's see here. If you need to take a call, which I'm hoping you won't leave us, but if you do, you can't put us on hold because then it will play some really funky music. And as much as we want to jam for the next hour, it would be nice if we would just be able to move forward and kind of not have to do that. So just hang up, do what you got to do, and then call back in, and that way we don't hear the fun little jam session there. So let's dive in. The most important thing is that as a CSEP that you do keep all of this confidential. We don't talk about the grader training. We don't talk about the content of the exam. We don't talk about when you're grading, what you saw. It's really important that that stuff remains, that big red classified, just because we want to keep the integrity of the exam as it is. And we don't want people to kind of know this stuff before they should know this stuff, basically. So I trust you are all professionals and you will do that and support that confidentiality clause that we have. So what we're going to talk about is 4 different things: the test development, how we kind of got to where we are, the candidate process overview, how to grade, and then how you can be the best CCP you can be. So those are what we're going to go through today. And again, throw questions in the chat feature as we go along if you have anything. So when we created this exam many years ago, it was kind of a 5-stage process to do so. 1 being, as you can see in front of you, job analysis study, 2, content development, 3, item writing and item review, 4, test assembly, and 5, grading. And we're going to kind of dive into this briefly just so you understand how we got to the exam the way it is today. The first being the job analysis study. So basically, whenever you're going to start any major exam like what we have for the CCP, is you kind of have to figure out what it is that you want to test on. So we did a list of the knowledge, skills, and abilities for the event professional, and we basically had subject matter experts, which are CSEPs, but before there was a CSEP, they were called subject matter experts. And now that you are a CSEP, you are a subject matter expert. So those SMEs, as they're called, kind of reviewed to make sure that the knowledge, skills, and abilities that define what it is that we do every day do indeed define what it is that we do every day. Once we had that, we did the content development, and that's what you all know as the content outline. It's that document that many of you use to prepare for your exam. So that content outline came from that list of knowledge, skills, and abilities to be able to give us a little bit of a frame of reference of what we think an event professional should know and what we think an event professional should be tested on in order to receive the CCP designation. From there is when we actually got to create the quote-unquote questions. They call them items is what it's actually called versus a question. But we basically went through and created all the questions. We created the essay portion that you know. And all of this was reviewed by multiple SMEs or CSEPs. And this particular exam, the questions were then weighted so that we could say, hey, you know what, on a scale of whatever the scale was, you know, the question, this was a little bit easier than, say, this one. And those weights were applied and agreed upon by multiple people. So that way we could ensure that not every exam is the same experience. And that helped us a little bit to protect the validity of the exam, which is really important to us in governing the CCP exam. From there, we were able to actually put the test together. And you can see this is a 5-step process that I talked about in about 30 seconds, but this took a long time to do. It took years. And basically, it is still continuously reviewed and made sure that multiple SMEs are involved. It's analyzed by SMT, who is Schroeder Measurement Technologies. They're the company who help us oversee the exam right now. But basically, it was reviewed by many people to make sure that it was a good exam that's going to test all this knowledge. Something as simple as acronyms. You know, there are some people who have taken this exam who are in a different country, like UK, and they may call one thing, and we call it here in the States another thing. We had to make sure that that language, that there was no of that casual language. We want to make sure that there was the formal name, which I'm sure as you took your exam, you realized that a lot of those words were spelled out to the proper name. So things like that, that's just one tiny little step of what we went through with the test assembly. And yeah, so now here, now that we've already taken the exam, we as SMEs, as CSEPs, need to grade the exam. And the reason we have this is we want to make sure that those who are receiving the designation, they are still reviewed by those who currently have the designation to make sure that they actually do know what they're talking about. And you, as CSEPs, you are the only ones who can say, yes, they do know what they're talking about. Yes, this answer is correct. And it's important that we continue to do that. So we're going to go over a little bit of the grading exam here. I know a lot of this doesn't need to be said, but I want to make sure I go through it so that I can, really stress the importance of it. Grading criteria must be specific and unambiguous, free from subjectivity. Sometimes this can be hard, but it is important that when you are grading an exam, and if you are reading an answer, you are to take it for what they have written directly in front of you. We don't grade they did a good job based on we think they get what they're trying to get at. No, we're very clear in what the answer is. And the reason we can do this is because you are going to be asked a yes or no question when grading the exam. So did they do X, Y, Z? Yes or no. Very clear cut, very clean. Just so you guys know, the exams are rated by 3 different CCPs. So when you took your exam, 3 different subject matter experts reviewed the exam. These subject matter experts are CCPs to make sure that they all came up with the same responses. And we're going to show you in a couple slides, what the actual screens look like, so you can understand a little more what I'm talking about. But like I said, you're going to be asked questions about their answers, and it's a clear yes or no. Did they do that or did they not do that? So this right here is the very first screen you're going to get when you log into grade an exam. Now, you will receive an email requesting you to grade an exam. In that email will be a link that takes you to this screen. It will have your login name and it will have your password. So you don't, we like if you could keep that stuff on file, but don't freak out. If it's not there, we can help you with that, all right? So you'll click the link in the email and it'll take you to this screen. And right at the bottom, you'll see rate an exam. You would click there. Here's your user ID, your password, very standard logon. And this is what the rater training, the grader training looks like. I'm sorry, the grader screen looks like. So you see on the top left, it says show event profile. If you recall, when you took your exam, you had to choose, maybe it was a wedding, maybe it was a corporate event. There was a couple different options you could choose between. This show event profile button here shows which option they choose, which event they chose. And then you see the question they were asked and the candidate's response. In the yellow on the bottom, you see the rater metric is where you are going to answer the question about their answer. So did the candidate correctly identify a strength, a weakness, an opportunity, and a threat? And you're to say yes or no. If a candidate said 4 strengths, 1 weakness, no opportunities, no threats, then you're going to say no. You know, they don't get kind of credit for, you know, oh, they listed 5 strengths but didn't do the rest. Nope, it's very clean cut. Then the next thing, oh, let me go back here real quick. The next thing I wanted to let you know here too is as you're going through, if you are a little challenged on if they answered it correctly or not, you can bookmark it. There's an orange button there, bookmark it, to come back and review, just so you can make sure that, you know, you are answering the question correctly. And the other note is that if they answer question 1 in question 3, it doesn't count. They have to answer question 1 in question 1 and that response. And that has come up quite a few times. So I just want to make sure, you know, nice and clean cut here is the only way I can say it. So as a reminder, the candidate is presented with 2 event profiles that they have to choose between, and it provides all of the details you need to know, goals, objectives, budgets, you know, your basic thing that a client would tend to give us actually if we were planning an event. So they will receive all that information, and again, show profile is where you're going to see which one they chose. This is just another review of the question that you have to answer. Did they do it? Yes or no? And I know you're going to hear me say that yes or no quite a few times, but I want to be very clear that, you know, you have to just be very unambiguous, very non-biased, like they said, just straight yes or no answers. So when you are grading, a few things to think about. These are some notes that we put together. Use when the candidate has their answer, make sure that you are actually checking the question to make sure that they answered the question as it's being asked. Your first time grading, it might take you about 40 minutes to make sure you understand how that all works. I can now grade an exam in about 20 minutes. So that's something to note, is it's going to take you a bit to understand how to grade, and that's okay. Where it says here, each candidate's response is specific to a rater question and should be evaluated together. That is very important that, like I said, they can't answer question 1 in question 3. And you'd be surprised how many times that happens when, you know, someone's typing away in question number 1 and it's this huge long paragraph and they end up running out of time. And so they technically do answer some of the other questions in that first stimulus, but we can't give them credit for it. They have to do the individual answers in that question. And this is the most important thing. If you have a friend, say that you were mentoring to take the exam, and maybe they confided in you an answer and you recognize some of the verbiage that they wrote, please do not grade their exam. If you know who the person taking the exam is, opt out. And you can simply back out and say that you are not going to take the exam, not going to grade the exam. So if you have trouble with that, please let us know. We're here to help you with that. But it's really important that we keep that bias completely okay. Again, you will get the logins and the passwords. You can do this from your own computer. I would suggest using a computer versus like your phone. It's a little more difficult to do on your phone. Confidentiality must be maintained. I think you guys get that. Here's an important one. You have 48 hours to rate. So what that means is that you're going to get the email, and 48 hours you have to log in, grade, and complete it. If you can't, if you're, say you've got 7 events backed up in the next 48 hours, log in and say that you decline to rate, because then it can go to the next CSEP a lot quicker versus letting that lag time kind of, at the end of 48 hours. And to just give you an example, this past round of CSEPs, I believe we had 32 or 33 candidates. And with that many candidates, that means I need 100 or so CSEPs to grade the exam. And if everyone waited the 2 days and we had to wait for every single time, then we're basically taking 12 to 16 weeks to grade all these exams. I would like to challenge you all to help me in shortening that time, but that really is going to come down to you all helping to do that by going in and grading it right away or saying that you can't grade it right away. There's no judgment if you can't grade, just so you know. No one's sitting there going, oh, this person said no 5 times. That's not happening. So we would rather, you be honest and truthful with us and not us just be able to move on and get them all graded. Emails will be sent to you to do the grading. We try to send out reminders in the Facebook group as well as in emails. So make sure your email is correct with headquarters. And I can help you with that if you need it, just so you get it to your correct email that you're working with. And then if you are assigned an exam, you cannot grade another one until that is done, until all that process is done. So just make sure that, if you have to grade a couple exams in one round, that's okay. Just make sure you finish the first process first, and then you can move on to the next exam. All right, this is my favorite page of this entire slideshow here. This is how to be the best CCP I can be. Yes, you are required to grade 3 exams. That is kind of the more boring part of being a CCP. For me, being a good CSEP is this huge list that we've made. And I'd love to go through these, and if you have any ideas, throw them in the chat. If you have any questions about these, throw it in the chat. But be an advocate, for the CSEP. Talk it up. Talk up with your clients. When they say, oh, what are those 4 letters at the end of your name? Explain what it is. I get called Amy Dirth CSEP all the time, and you know what? I could laugh it off and say, yeah, I'm CSEP. No, I explain, nope, it's CSEP, and I am a certified special event professional. It's my designation for my job. And yes, it's a little more serious when they're trying to make a joke, but I really want to help, promote the CSEP. Wear your pins. As a new CSEP, you were mailed your new silver pins, and wear them. Wear them to, if you go to ILEA, wear them to ILEA. If you are going to a conference, wear them there. Some people have put them on their purses. Some people put them on their badges when they go to any event. But wear your pin, and because it does draw attention. And I actually have gone as far as our team sweatshirts that we have when we go on site says Amy Dirth, and it has the CSEP right on my left shoulder. And it has actually promoted a conversation with someone. They were like, why does it say CSEP? And I got to explain what it was. So it works. Get it out there. Rate exams. As a reminder, in order to recertify within the next 5 years, you do have to grade 3 exams. That's the minimum. And please note the stress on that word, minimum. So we have to grade about 400 plus exams a year, and there's about 450 CSEPs. So it's okay to grade more than 1 exam, more than 3 exams, I apologize. I tend to do about 5 or 6 in my 5 years. So that's a big one. Please grade. Keep in touch with us. Let's say you move jobs. Let us know. Change your email, change your company name with us. How about if you do something kind of amazing? Maybe you did like the best event you've ever done in your career, and you worked with a fellow CCP or maybe a fellow ILEA member. Please share that with us. Send us a picture. Let us show off. Post in the Facebook group, and that way we can, really promote the professionalism and the leadership that is a CSEP. Recertify every 5 years. If you have questions about recertification, we will absolutely help you. You will get a reminder that your certification year is here. And on the brand new ILEAHub.com/CSEP website, there is a whole section on recertification. So any questions, please let us know. I will say for right now, you do have to collect points in order to recertify. So what I have done that's helped me is I have a little folder right next to my desk that every time I do something that garners me points towards my recertification, print the page, throw it in the folder. Yes, it's a little old school, but I like it. I know that over 5 years it's there, and it's important, and it's right in my CSEP little part of my divider on my desk, so it works. Become a CSEP brand champion. So we are so excited that we have this amazing championship program, and I believe we actually just changed the name recently to brand ambassador. And what this is we have people all across the globe, and I mean that when I say the globe, that represent their region and become the CSEP go-to person. For me, I am the Boston chapter's CSEP guru, and it's really great. I have helped quite a few people in my chapter to prepare for the exam, and I have great conversations, and it's just wonderful to be part of their story a little bit. And so I really suggest that you do that. Guide future CSEP candidates. It's the same thing. You know, while you're talking to maybe you're talking to some interns, maybe you're talking to your clients, maybe you're talking to another event professional that should have done this 15 years ago. You know, whatever that is, guide these candidates. Help them to know what the content outline is. Help them to know, you know, what to expect when to take the exam. You know, help them to calm nerves. Help them instill some confidence that they may know how to do this. And it's really, I can't stress this part enough, the guide future CSEP candidates. I personally feel like that's my my job as a CSEP to do this. Hence why I'm doing this webinar. Put the CSEP logo in your email signature. I can't tell you how many people forget to use their designation. You know, my name everywhere, even on my checks that I sign, says Amy Zediana Dirth, CSEP. And I can tell you in your emails, you don't have to put them on your checks and be crazy like me, but if you want to, I approve. Put it in your Facebook profile name. If you do sales, it's a great thing to ask, you know, start some conversations. Anywhere you can, write your name, put the CSEP, especially in anything that has to do with the events. Your production schedules. Sounds silly, but if you put them in your production schedules, people will look at that and see that. Attend CSEP meetups. So this is a great one, and I'm going to challenge you as well as inspire, I hope. If you don't have any meetups in your area, start one. You're a planner. You know how to do it. So why not have a meetup where maybe you grab a couple of you and have some coffee and have a great high-level conversation about the events industry or driving the events forward or whatever it is that you'd like to talk about. Attend, host, anything to kind of get that CSEP conversation started. And then what I can swear by in my career is attending ILEA Live. ILEA Live is just such an amazing conference, and if you've never been, I highly recommend it. There are some points that are just for CSEPs alone. I will tell you, we did a CSEP-only workshop this past year in Denver, and it was phenomenal. You know, we were there with two amazing event producers who presented some, you know, challenging events in a language that was much more high level than some of the other courses that are there at ILEA Live. And they even had a CSEP challenge game that they created where they had a scenario and they say, as a CSEP, what would you do? And I loved it. I loved that I was put in the hot seat and I had to use, you know, my skills and my 15-year career to kind of come up with what would I do in a crisis situation. And the twist on it was they actually used real events and real situations that had happened to them, and they presented what they actually did do once it was done, once we were done with our game. So really, I can't speak any more highly about ILEA Live. I just loved my education, my experience. I love wearing the little ribbon that says CSEP. it really is it's a time to celebrate being a CCP when you're there. So that's kind of the wrap up. Please, if you have questions, can we unmute everyone real quick? If you have questions, this is the time to ask, and no questions are stupid questions, so please feel free. Write it in the chat if you don't want to talk out loud or anything like that. Let me just put this here. Oh, let's see here. Okay, if the exam... Any other thoughts, comments, concerns? Perfect. Well,
Hi, Amy, it's Liz, actually. Can I read one question that came in aloud?
Yeah, please.
If the exam lists something as a weakness when you feel it is a threat or a weakness that is a strength, should you mark yes if they do in fact list 4 and explain their reasoning and rationale behind it, even though you disagree?
Excellent, excellent question. To be completely honest, that is probably a very, very unique scenario. Our job isn't to decide necessarily if we think that their reasoning is good or not. Our job is to say, did they list 4 weaknesses? Now, there have been times where I have received a weakness that they've listed, and I'm just kind of like, well, I would have categorized that as a threat, or actually for me, that's not a weakness, that's something else. But if their rationale makes sense and they're able to explain, and it is indeed a weakness that you deem worthy, then you would say, yes, they have listed 4 weaknesses. And to be honest, you're the only one who's going to be able to see those words and make that decision. But I'll be honest, most of it is pretty clear in the exams I've graded. And the few times that I've kind of been like, that's kind of a stretch, I did decide to say that, yes, they listed it because it was indeed, they did list it and it was there.
Yeah. Yeah, like it's not.
Is there another question?
Yeah. But I think it's good. Yeah. I didn't see any reviews on it. Yeah, that's it. Sorry. That's that one. It's that one.
You're not. Why don't you mute on the... All right, perfect. So the last thing I do want to make sure before I go is that everyone is in the CSEP Facebook group. If you are not, then you can find us. It's the official Certified Special Event Professional group on Facebook. I will tell you that is probably one of our primary, between that and email, primary ways in which we communicate what's going on in the world of CSEP. It is also your group. So if you have a challenge in your own world that you need help with, if you need a referral for another place across the globe, if you just want to show off and say, hey, look, I felt like an amazing professional today, it is your group to do that. We do ask that everyone stays positive and supportive and in promoting of the CCP environment, but it is a group to be able to do all of those different things and to stay connected to your fellow professionals. I will remind you that not everybody who has a CCP is an ILEA member. So it's really an opportunity to meet people outside of ILEA as well who do hold the same designation as you. And perhaps, hopefully, those of you who are not members of ILEA would be interested in joining. And if you are, you're welcome to come talk to me and I can talk you through benefits, or perhaps it's maybe not for you, but we can talk through the different options. I will be a little honest. I am biased because I think ILEA is the reason I have a company today. And so for me, I am definitely Team ILEA. But that's all I've got for you all today. Thank you. As of today, it usually takes about 24 hours. You will be qualified to grade, and you could receive the emails to grade, anytime. We do give a heads up in the Facebook group that grading emails will start hopefully coming out. So we try to do that as much as we can. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I've missed, but I do try. But yeah, basically you are all good today. And if you need any help, I am here for you, as well as everyone at HQ. And I think Eileen's also on the call, who is your current chair. She is here for you as well. So whatever you need, we will take care of it. Thank you all. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful holiday season. I know that I will be getting off the call and diving into all my holiday party planning. So have a great rest of your month, and we'll talk to you all soon.